Okay guys, let's see if this Z can make it up here. Unexpired old winter tires. Oh, yes. Oh, we made it up, boys. Holy Jesus, the Z never fails to impress. What is up guys, welcome back to the video. It's Mikey from jdmicon here, and before we start today's video, we're gonna go ahead and clean the Z because it looks absolutely filthy. This whole week was insanely cold and the rear wheels just got caked with all this snow in the wheel well, and I had to let the car sit overnight somewhere warm where the whole car can actually thaw out. And yes, for some of you Americans that live in like a warm state like Florida or California, us Canadians actually have to warm up our cars and have it thaw out overnight because of how cold it gets here and how much snow we get in our wheel wells. So, and because my Z is lowered and it's not exactly the most ideal car for the winter time, the whole car drove and rode like a skateboard. It was absolutely awful. The rear wheels, the car was literally just bouncing on the road like that. It was so bad. But right now we're waiting in line at a car wash so I can wash the car and have it look really good and minty for you guys. And let's go ahead and wash the Z. We just made it back home. The Z is looking a lot better. It's not perfect because obviously it's winter, and as soon as I drive the car out of the car wash, it gets dirty and everything freezes again. So this is as good as the Z is ever gonna look for right now. But all of this here is all melted now. But this used to be all full of ice. I don't know if you guys remember the last video, it was so bad. But I finally, oh no, this is just ice. Okay, I thought the wrap was peeling. But yeah, so now the car actually drives a lot better, and if I were to film this video, it would be super shaky because of all the snow. Because of how well the last video did on the Z, it sounds like you guys want to see more videos on the Z and what it's like either driving this car or maintaining this car, just owning this car, since the Z right now is a car that is super affordable and achievable for a lot of new enthusiasts. And in a way, it's kind of like the new S chassis because it comes with a 6-speed manual transmission, rear wheel drive, a decent amount of power, decent brakes, and parts are really cheap right now for this car. You can probably buy 2 Zs for the price of like a right-hand drive S14 or S15 or even an S13 or 180, something like that. These cars are super cheap and it is a lot of bang for your buck for the amount of car you get for the money. Even if you're spending like 10-12 grand on a Z, as long as it's in good condition, lower mileage, it hasn't been really drifted or molested at all, it's a pretty good car. And this is my 3rd year with the car, my 3rd winter, and I drive this all year round. And in today's video, I'm gonna tell you guys all the maintenance, weekly fuel costs, and things I just had to fix and repair with this car. So let's go ahead and hop in the Z and I'll take you for a drive. If you guys have any questions on the 350Z or any video suggestions that you want to see me do with the 350Z, please comment down below, as it gives me a good insight as to what you guys want to see on the channel. So right now, it's actually perfect because I actually need to get gas. I usually fill up at around quarter tank, kind of like that. We're just above quarter tank, and I usually zero my mileage here on trip A, and I keep trip B. That's how many kilometers I drove on this oil change. Once I get around 5,000 kilometers, I'm going to do an oil change, and trip A is my fuel economy. So I drove 312.2 kilometers on this tank. Usually during the summer, I'm closer around to the 400, 450. In case you guys don't live in a snowy climate like I do, when it gets really cold, we start our cars for about 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes I go even up to 20 minutes if it's really cold, just to get the engine up to operating temperature, warm up everything, and then I go out for a drive. And it also warms up the interior too. And that's a lot of wasted gas for, say, like if you live in California, you probably have never done this before. Maybe you have, but you might not really have to. But in Canada, that's like a norm, that's like a normal thing. And at the same time, it's also better for your engine if you warm it up when it's really cold. All right, ladies and gents, let's go ahead and drive the Z to go get gas. We ran into Josh again, boys. We ran into him again. How come every time Like this actually never happens when I'm not like filming, but I never run into Josh on the road, like ever. As soon as I take out the camera, he's just there. He's like literally right there. Alright, so the Z is currently fueling up right now, and I think I said this in the last video, I only put regular in it. And I know most guys who own Zs usually put premium, and I totally understand the car does run better. It feels a little bit quicker because it's my daily and the price of premium is ridiculous right now. I've been putting regular for the longest time. I've drifted on regular, I've done so much things, and again, I've owned this car for 3 years and I have zero issues with putting regular. So if you do want to try putting regular in your Z, you can try it. I have never had any issues with it. No engine issues whatsoever. But if you prefer to put premium, that's totally up to you. It's totally preference in my opinion. But I'm just saying I've never had any issues with putting regular. So we measure our fuel in liters, and usually I get with today's price, which is $1.33.9, $1.33.9 a liter. I usually get around $65 to $70 just to fill up the tank. And how I calculate it is whatever I usually divide amount of kilometers that I've driven by the liters I get there. Once you divide that, you're gonna get the amount of kilometers you can get per gallon or per liter. So let's just see what I got during this tank. Alright, so now the car is all gassed up. Let's go ahead and do our math. And I might sound like a complete nerd here, but I don't actually do this every day or every time I fill up for that matter. But we got 53.581 liters to fill up the tank. Our mileage was 314.6. So let's go ahead and put 314.6 divided by 53.581 liters. So we got about 5.87 kilometers per liter. During the summer, I do get a lot better. Like I said, I usually get close to like the 8 to 10 range, I think, if I remember correctly. Sometimes I do slide the Z, obviously during the winter. So there goes some fuel economy because drifting isn't exactly that economic on fuel. But that's just the way I calculate fuel economy where I am, and that's just what makes sense in my head. All right. I don't have a GoPro or anything, so I won't be able to do any POV shots. Could put the camera behind us, but then I feel like that's kind of weird if I'm not looking at you guys while I'm talking. So anyways, over the 3 years that I've owned this car, it hasn't been bad, because if it's been bad, then I would have clearly sold the car. It is definitely something to get used to, especially wintertime driving this thing, because the rear end always wants to kick out, especially with the tires I have on now. I have winter tires on. Obviously studded would be a lot better, but I'm trying to learn how to control the car more. And long story short, the rear tires are bald, so I think I've only gotten stuck twice. So it wasn't too bad. Previous winters I haven't gotten stuck at all. So in terms of maintenance over the past 3 years, it hasn't been too bad. Obviously this car is almost a 20-year-old car. I think it's about 19 years old now. There is going to be some suspension components, some bushings. That is going to go because again, it isn't... Bro, this guy just cut me off, bro. Man, he didn't see me. For real? The cars are the same color too. Didn't see me because he has too much tint on, bro. You got your tint's too dark. In terms of maintenance, the 350Z isn't too bad. The things I have replaced are the compression rods, which is like the backward control arm. Those usually go, it's super common for the ball joints there to have play, and I ended up changing both. One thing I did change, which is a very common thing with 350Zs, are the door handles. With making sure your door handles don't break, is when you have a passenger with you for that really short period of time where you're unlocking and they open the door, that's what breaks the 350Z door handles. And unfortunately I did that to myself, so that the driver's side, and then the passenger side as well. So I had to get 2 new door handles. It's a very common issue with the 350Z from what I've heard. Another thing I noticed is you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you guys want to check out more videos on the 350Z or other cars that we have on the channel, so remember to hit the bell notification down below to be notified when we upload. As well as some wheel bearings. I do have to replace the rear passenger side, so the rear driver side for you guys if you're driving a left-hand drive. It's not urgent yet. It's not urgent yet, but it is on its way out. So this spring I'm probably going to swap it out because I did buy a new one. There's a FRS over there. That's pretty cool. Driving it winter time. That's awesome. So those are just common things in my opinion. That's all wear and tear. I don't think it was damaged because of drifting or because it's a bad car or anything. You have to remember that these cars are getting old. That's why they're achievable. They're cheap right now. Good thing is parts are usually readily available and really cheap. Another thing that I did have to replace are the hatch struts, which isn't too bad. It's usually under $100 to change both. You can usually tell when it's going when you have the hatch up and it hits you on the head and it just falls down, meaning it's weak and the struts don't have enough pressure, I guess, to hold it in place, hold it up so it falls down all the time. And there are different grades of hatch struts that you can get in case that your Z has a big rear wing. They have different strengths. I got the strongest one. I did learn my lesson. I highly recommend you guys to get the proper one because when I open my hatch, it just shoots all the way up and the whole car shakes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for the car. It just looks like it's way too strong to hold it up, and yeah. A nice thing with maintenance is, for example, if you need new struts for your 350Z or any car or any daily project car that you want to work on, it gives you a chance to save up a little bit more, and maybe instead of putting OEM struts, maybe get coilovers or get OEM struts and then save up a little bit more and buy lowering springs. Since you're already gonna be doing the work, you might as well upgrade the car when you have a chance or when you're working on it. So because my outer tie rod on the passenger side is going, I'm going to be getting the GK Tech high angle outer tie rods just because I do plan on drifting this car, and I feel like I'm going to be going through a lot of outer tie rods since it's a common issue with 350Zs. So I'm just going to go ahead and spend a little bit more, get the GK Tech outer tie rods, and hopefully at the drift events the outer tie rod's going to last a lot longer. In terms of oil and oil changes, the oil filters and obviously the oil in this car is super common. I put 5W30, which is the recommended oil for the VQ. I do put synthetic oil because I do prefer to put synthetic because it's like my daily and stuff like that. So actually here's the FRS over there. So if you guys are wondering if you can drive a rear wheel drive, I'm pretty sure this is a girl driving. So if you guys are scared of driving a rear wheel drive during the winter, she's doing it. I don't know who you are, but if you're watching this video, props to you, because let's keep the rear wheel drives going during the winter. They're so much fun. But yeah, in terms of oil changes, it's not too bad. Oil filters are really common, really cheap. Usually Nissan uses the same oil filter for a few different models. It's like their thing. I've noticed with having a 240SX and the Skyline, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Skyline and the 300ZX has the same oil filter. So that's the thing that Nissan does, which brings down the cost for maintenance a lot for people like you and me, which is actually really good that they think about those things. I'm not too sure about the new Nissans, but during this period, the 350Z era and the 90s, that's what I heard Nissan does. So that basically sums up all the maintenance I've done to my 350Z. And to be completely honest, over the last 3 years I've been driving it every single day, summer and winter. There isn't that much maintenance. This car has been pretty good to me, other than some chassis and suspension components breaking. Honestly, I do think that's wear and tear because the car is like 20 years old, so things like that are bound to break, especially if you buy one with higher mileage that's been driven a lot more. To me, that's just normal. That's just common maintenance. Oil changes and gas isn't too bad. It doesn't break the bank. Honestly, owning an Evo is way more costly than it is to own this car. So I think my Evo, I've never driven my Evo during the winter. Every single time. These guys are so loud. Like, that bus is louder than this and I would get a ticket for having a loud Z. Jesus. Anyways, owning an Evo 10 is way more costly than it is to own this car. If you guys have any questions on the 350Z or any video suggestion that you want to see me do with the 350Z, please comment down below, as it gives me a good insight as to what you guys want to see on the channel. And I'm really open to helping you guys as well. So if you guys want to DM me on Instagram, always willing to help anyone get into the car scene and get into 350Zs, because it's a chassis that I know quite a bit on and I'm pretty happy with my 350Z. It's not the perfect car, but it's pretty fun to drive and I do love it, to be completely honest with you. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did, remember to leave a comment and give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps out the channel and the algorithm as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.